Okay, we've got to talk about all the chaos involving the release of David Grush's medical files in a clear effort to discredit him in his testimony. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of back and forth. So let's go over it all. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, here is the article from the Intercept. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just to give you a little flavor of it. UFO whistleblower kept security clearance after psychiatric detention. Non-human biological material recovered from purported UFO crash sites, a decades-long secret program to reverse engineer this stuff, yada, yada, yada. These are some of the extraordinary claims made by Grush, a former retired Air Force intelligence officer who served as an advisor to the Pentagon's U.A.P. task force. Yada, yada, yada. Security clearances of the sort Grush held are subject to strict requirements, including regarding psychological episodes and substance issues. Grush has used his high-level clearance to shore up his credibility, telling the committee, "I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments in a position of extreme trust in both my military and civilian capacities. But police records obtained by The Intercept under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act," because this was all FOIA'd, how he got the information to FOIA this stuff, of course, is the question. He didn't conjure these details out of thin air. Someone gave him this information that allowed him to FOIA, and that is the critical issue. So the Intercept got this stuff through the FOIA, finding out that Grush was committed to a mental health facility based in part on a report that he made a suicidal statement after his wife told him he was an alcoholic and suggested that he get help. And it goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, although I will go into the very end of the article so you can see the bias of the reporter. And at the end of the article, he goes out of his way to discredit Roswell and it was all a bunch of balloons. For many years, the Pentagon refused to explain the weather balloon's true purpose due to its highly classified nature as part of Project Mogul, a top-secret Air Force program designed to detect a Soviet bomb test. Many took the secrecy, which was indeed excessive, to mean that the government must be covering up the existence of ET craft. Aftergood said the misconception at the heart of the recent House hearing is similar to the legends that grew out of the events in Roswell. The embarrassment of the House hearings stems not so much from the issue itself, but from the failure to distinguish what is real from what is fantasy. So there is the bias of the article and of the gentleman that wrote the article. In fact, we have words from him right here. Let's go to him talking about whether he received this information from the intelligence community and whether he believes in UFOs or not.
You did a Twitter space last night. You indicated you were tipped off by this. So were you tipped off by members of the intelligence community?
It was both the Defense Department. I mean, again, it's a mosaic. You talk to as many people as you can because you don't want to be dependent on any one individual who might have a grudge or whatever it is. But yes, I did talk to both DOD people and intelligence people.
So in terms of the substance of the tip here, the accusation, I mean, aren't they fundamentally correct that, like, you are publishing dirt that was tipped to you by intelligence community?
Well, the thing is, when I put out my call for tips, I said, if you have anything positive or negative,
sure.
Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to, he's a human being. I don't, to be candid with you guys so people can account for where I'm coming from, I don't believe in the UFO stuff. I think he's incorrect about it. However, I don't want to just punch at him. I would have included anything positive that I had gotten. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have, redeeming qualities. Everybody does, even me. But I just didn't happen to hear any of that. And so
Very generous of him to at least ask for redeeming qualities. But yeah, so essentially he was tipped off by the intelligence community to the location of these records of David Grush. He does not believe in UFOs, and his article makes that very clear. So why did the intelligence community choose him to leak this information to? Well, I guess we can come to our own conclusions on that. Probably because he wants to debunk the UFO phenomenon. But wait, there's more. Here's the connection between the Department of Energy and the Intercept's hit piece against David Grush. The journalist who wrote the hit piece against Grush in The Intercept is the son of a chemist and researcher who works for the Argonne National Lab, which is part of the U.S. Department of Energy, which of course has long-standing ties to the UFO phenomenon and the UFO control group. His father's interests include developing theoretical methods for predicting the kinetics and dynamics of gas phase reactions and applying them to interesting problems in combustion, interstellar, and atmospheric chemistry. So, of course, not everybody that works for the Department of Energy is in the employ of the control group, and it's entirely likely and even probable that the father is just a random employee, and that the son is not likewise an agent of the control group spreading disinformation. I get the vibe from him that he is a genuine non-believer in UFOs, and that is his bias going into it, not as a deliberate act of disinformation on his part, but rather a deliberate act of disinformation on the part of the intelligence community who gave him this information to spread in an effort to discredit Grush. And the information, of course, was correct, but it was done in a way as to spread disinformation, such as the idea that all of this is BS. Telling a truth to tell a lie. Rob Sheridan has a really interesting point that I just wanted to bring to your attention. Folks, I can't stress this enough. The next whistleblower to step onto the disclosure train is the first follower. The first follower of David Grush is the most important whistleblower. This is why there are efforts to discredit David Grush in order to send a message to the first follower, not to follow. The support efforts from the public and Congress toward David will signal to the next first follower that it's okay. As Jeremy Corbell says, it's time to wear your battle helmets. So this is all in an effort to stymie future whistleblowers. That's what this whole thing is about. Meanwhile, both Ross Coulthart and Tim Burchett are chiming in on recent developments.
My concerns stand. Frankly, it's quite obvious. He got a tip. Somebody wanted to try and discredit Mr. Grush. They leaked information that allowed the journalist to ask for a specific amount of information that he knew existed. That was a record held in a particular police department. You don't go looking for that information unless you know where to look.
Right.
And that's the problem. Why stigmatize somebody for a PTSD diagnosis that was fixed, that was no issue at all to the Defense Department? It's just a pretty lame and, quite frankly, dopey effort to try and discredit a good human being.
A dopey effort. I like that. You tell him, Ross. Tim Burchett also chimes in.
Do you feel any differently about Grush because of this reporting about him seeking treatment for dealing with what he had to live in Afghanistan?
God bless him for serving our country, keeping us free. My father fought in the Pacific, and to the day he died, I never would wake him up over his body. I would always grab him by his big toe because I don't know where he thought he was going to be when he woke up. It's a real deal. We deal with it now. We accept it. And for anybody to discredit one of our veterans for that, to me, is sickening. It is just sickening. I knew about this before it was going to break. He and I are friends, and we communicate fairly regularly. I'd ask people to pray for him and his family.
All right, there you go. Tim Burchett is disgusted by this attack on David Grush, this leak. Not the records themselves weren't leaked, but the information leading to the records was leaked. They were leaked to a reporter who is either A, disinformation agent, or B, is a genuine non-believer of the UFO phenomenon. That's what I lean toward. Who was all too happy to publish this information to discredit David Grush in his testimony. But like I said in my earlier piece, you can try to discredit David Grush all you like. The fact remains that David Grush was only interviewing and investigating a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. He actually talked directly to the people involved in these programs, and those people, some of them, testified to the Inspector General of the Intelligence Services. So you can discredit Dave all you like. You can talk about his PTSD, but that is not going to conjure out of thin air these whistleblowers who testified under oath to the Inspector General. So there you go. There's my update on the David Grush stuff. A lot of back and forth, a lot of chaos. We're still in the fog of war on all this, and we're still gathering information. So I may have to make another video later with some more resolution. But right now it looks as though the intelligence community or aspects of the intelligence community leaked information to this reporter, allowing him to FOIA these medical records on David Grush in an obvious effort to smear him, to discredit him in his testimony. But of course, we're not going to fall for that. We see right through that. Sadly, there are some people that are all too happy to embrace this narrative that David Grush is, traumatized and is, imagining this whole thing, which is clearly ridiculous, as I've just, pointed out why. So let me know your thoughts, however, in the comments below. Where do you think this is going? Do you think this is going to have an impact on future whistleblowers? Because, obviously that's the important thing. Let me know what you think about all this craziness in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. And join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. And there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel. I will see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.